detailed introduction. I promise you that my lecture will be much short. So, it's my duty to tell you that I won't stand long between you and the lunch. You have just now listened to a very, very inspirational, interesting talk by CIL, and security and vigilance. There is a very thin line of demarcation between the two. So the things which he has already mentioned in his speech, I won't repeat them, but they are as relevant to my speech today. So I'll just touch upon them wherever it is required. I would like to start with the perception. He was talking about the perception of CIL outside the organization. And like he mentioned, and most of you will also agree, that it is not as good as we would like it to be. काजल की कोठरी में से बिना दाग लगे वापस आ जाने की कहावत तो आपने सुनी ही होगी. He has given you the example of a fish inside a pond, and it is next to impossible that you would be able to know when the ship has drunk water. The job is very, very challenging. Again, I would also like to repeat this, that as he wanted you all to be a vigilance officer, same thing applies, that every one of you working in the organization is a security personnel also. If that is understood and acted upon, then this so seemingly impossible task of securing such a vast canvas against all such odds, challenges, high-risk environment is not so difficult to achieve. We can provide reasonable security. If we don't call it a foolproof security, we can provide a reasonable security within the available resources. When we talk of solutions, we have to be careful that our solutions should be feasible. They should be practical. We cannot ask for moon to get the job done. So that if that thing is in your mind, then we would try to find solutions within our resources. So when I was talking about perception, there could be three kinds of perception. One is that what I think about myself. This is my perception about myself. Then the second one is what you think about me, your perception about myself, how I am. And there is a third perception as well, that what I think you think about me. And it is not necessary that all these perceptions about the same thing would be same. Mostly it has been observed that the perception, self-perception is always very high. The perception, if it is in this extreme, the other perception you think about me may be to that extreme. And what I think you think about me would be somewhere in between. I would never like to think that you think that I am very bad, even if you are thinking so. So, second thing of perception is that they are everything. perception may be totally different from the facts. But it is perception which is more important than the facts themselves. So you have to keep this thing in mind, that you may be doing very good in your perception. And sometimes your perception is accurate also. But the person who is to evaluate your performance, if he doesn't have the same perception, then you will have to think, where's the gap, why it is happening. So this perception management is very important. You have to keep this thing always in your mind. Now, I would like to focus on certain things because my topic is security scenario in CIL. So, when I joined as Senior Advisor Security, I had some idea about the security in Coal India because I have served on deputation to CBI also, where CBI has been investigating, had investigated so many big cases, major cases related to coal sector. So I had those ideas in my mind, what kind of security lapses. I would not say it was security only, it was more related to corruption, vigilance, you know. So when CBO was talking about that security is different from corruption, I totally agree with him. But I just want to add that there is a very thin line of demarcation. When security breach becomes a matter of vigilance, it's a very thin line, because as soon as you find involvement of insiders, it becomes a vigilance matter. And when it becomes a vigilance matter, it becomes a corruption matter also. And then when it becomes that, then those cases which involved corrupt practices, they were referred to CBI for investigation. So from that angle, I had that knowledge and experience with me. Then I did some homework. I talked to the people in the Intelligence Bureau who deal with the industrial security. Then I talked to the people who actually investigated the corruption cases relating to coal sector, and just to have a relatively better idea, precise idea, that what kind of focus areas are there which need to be looked into when you are going as a security advisor to such a vast sector, such an important sector. Then, as a police officer, I always found it useful that no amount of theory and conceptualization would be that useful as your own experience on the field. So it's always better that you go visit the field, talk to the people, ma'am, please little more attention. I know it's very tiring, but I would appreciate if you pay little more attention what I am telling you. I think you are from personnel department. Yes or no? Yes, yes. So when I was talking about, it actually breaks my chain of thought. Oh, what I was talking? That when yes. So when you are in the field, you talk to the people who are really facing it. Try to know their views, their perception, their problems, and then you arrive at appropriate solutions. So I visited the field, and I realized that it's a very hybrid kind of scenario where you have CISF security at one extreme. Fortunately, I have experience of CISF also because I worked on deputation to CISF also. And I was in the headquarters, so I had a 360-degree view of the CISF functioning from there. So CISF was created for industrial security only, primary job. So I can tell with a certain degree of authority that they are the professional force for industrial security. So that's why I'm keeping them on one extreme. And at the other extreme, you would have something like SIS, private security. Then in between, you have so many different kind of security agencies, like you have State Industrial Security Force, like I am from Madhya Pradesh cadre. We have a SISF, State Industrial Security Force, created in Madhya Pradesh, which has been patterned on CISF, though it has no similarities except for the name. I won't think that they have acquired the things which they should have. So this Madhya Pradesh SISF is deployed in SECL. Then we have Assam Industrial Security Force, it has been deployed in NEC. We have OISF, Odisha Industrial Security Force, which has been deployed in MCL. So there are these agencies. Then we have state security forces. They may be armed police or specialized task force kind of things, like Maharashtra Special, what is the name?
Maharashtra State Security Corporation.
Yes, so these kind of forces. Then we have Home Guards. Then we have DGR sponsored security forces. Then we have our own departmental security. All kind of things. Why I am mentioning this? That this is a problem area. Because there is a vast level of difference in their skill set, their knowledge set, their even attitude. So you have to actually have some kind of benchmark, some kind of hand-holding, some kind of experience sharing, some kind of best practice sharing between all these, so that this gap reduces. So this is there. Then the other thing which I noticed was that he has mentioned that there are 9 CBOs in only one company. That is really huge. Similarly, we have, I think I have not worked in all the public sectors, but I can say with reasonable degree of certainty that the use of technology for security purposes is very high in Coal India. 13,000 CCTV cameras installed in various subsidiaries. We have more than 1,000 or close to 945 to be precise, RFID based boom barriers at the checkposts and the beverages. Then we have around 9,500 GPS fitted vehicles for internal transportation of coal. We have close to 800, more than that, beverages which are networked. So we have huge technology which is supporting the job. So we always say that technology is a great force multiplier. What does it mean? That for doing the same kind of security job you would require lot many security personnel on the ground. So, and we have more than 23,000 different hybrid kind of security across CIL subsidiary with this different kind of skill sets. Some are so lacking, like you have this concept of project affected persons, and you take them, there is no educational criteria fixed, there is nothing, no qualification, nothing. Then you try to give them some work, and it is unfortunately more likely that he may end up in security. So the one who is not any other one is considered fit for security job. So that is one extreme. So you have to take care of this and you have to bring him up to the level which is at least acceptable. And then there, this any profession is connected with the society. See, when I was talking in my inaugural this thing, that we have a problem of people living in the very close vicinity of the mining areas, because we have acquired their land. Now we want them to move out so that we can perform mining operations. Most of them might have migrated also, but there are people who are still not leaving. Then there are encroachers also. Now, most of the time, the main means of livelihood for all these people is coal. Maybe legal, sometimes may not be legal also. So you are associated with any activity which is based on coal. So now this you can have a kind of parallel by this fish and pond thing, that your subsidiary or mine area is a pond, and these kind of fish are there. So you have to see that they are not drinking water. So this was another thing that which makes the job a little challenging, little more challenging. So keeping these factors, then there are people like, we call them left-wing extremism. It is there in some parts of Jharkhand, CCL. Earlier it was there in Madhya Pradesh, also Chhattisgarh particularly. Then if you move to the northeast, then there are some other kind of insurgent elements which are active. So that kind of people may also be involved for various reasons, and you will have to tackle them. So that would require another different kind of expertise that security personnel are supposed to possess. Then when I was talking about technology, so you will have to have a very clear interface between the technology and the security personnel who are manning those installations where this technology is being used. So I thought, and this I learned from CBI, that whenever a case is given to them, the first thing the IO does, he will try to study the entire processes involved in that particular thing about which the crime has been registered, and then after understanding the whole process and the relevant rules and regulations, he will start an investigation. And many a times I was surprised to know that after during the process of investigation, he knows more than the people who have been involved with this job for years, for decades. So this is the importance of, when we were talking about Sarvagya, that you are supposed to know all the relevant provisions, procedures, rules, regulations, laws related to the job, because it may not always happen that deliberately something is done. So that concept of bona fide versus mala fide, that you may make bona fide mistakes for ignorance of rules, regulations, provisions, SOPs. And you may not be intending, but you may be instrumental in breach of security or even facilitating some kind of crime, for just want of your knowledge. So I emphasized during this period that the security personnel should be aware about all the SOPs. I will quote one case of Northern Coalfield Limited, where there was a big case of, anybody from NCL here? Any representation from NCL here? Okay. I am not surprised. So this pilferage of diesel happened, and it was used. And when I talked to the chief of security there, he said, "Sir, security has nothing to do with this. That is why I did not inform you. I got the information through the newspaper cuttings. Somebody had forwarded. He knew me. He thought it is related to NCL. It may be of some use to me, so he forwarded. I read it, and then I talked to the chief of security. He said, since security had nothing to do with it, so I know that this has happened, but I did not tell you. Then when it was further probed, then I came to know, which he was not aware, as he claimed, that there is a thing called decantation committee, which is responsible for decanting the diesel when it is supplied from the oil supplying company. And there is a committee. He was one of the members, the security personnel. And my chief of security was saying that security has nothing to do with it. Then I got the copy of SOP, forwarded it to him, that you are saying you have nothing to do, whereas your personnel is the member of the committee. Then he said, for the first time, I am looking at this SOP. I am not aware about it. I am just quoting it to tell you that if it is true, it should not be true, but if it is true, then he was just not aware. If you are not aware that your personnel, because you will nominate who should be the representative of security department in that committee, and you are not aware, then how will you supervise? So this is just one example. I can quote you hundreds of examples of the last 4 years wherein this has been found. So I think that when you have to have a good security environment, this is imperative that your people, I have classified them into 3 categories, security personnel. One is the security personnel who are actually manning the different installations. What are the vital installations? One is your entry, exiting checkpost. To me as a security professional, that is the most important. Why it is the most important? Because the essence of providing security to any organization lies in the effective security access control. And effective, how would you enforce effective? What is access? What is access control? Access control is nothing, very simply put, that you are ensuring that only the authorized personnel and authorized objects, they enter into that area. No unauthorized entry, nothing. If I talk about the access control in this hall, if my intention is that only security personnel should be party to my discourse, then I will have to ensure that other personnel from personnel department, ENT department, legal department, they should not have access to this hall. If there are people, you recall that famous Samudra Manthan Kahani, where when this Amrit was being distributed, Rahu and Ketu, in the garb of gods, they entered and they got some drops of this Amrit. So here also, so I am just saying that no unauthorized doesn't mean criminal. Unauthorized means the person who is not, even the people from security department may not be authorized to be there for some reasons. Then I will have to prevent him from getting access. Now this task becomes monumental when you have thousands of hectares, open area, remote area, undulated area to provide such kind of access control. You cannot imagine that you can build a boundary wall like Great Wall of China across the subsidiary so that nobody can enter. So that is out of question. Even you cannot think of having proper fencing. Proper fencing would mean that it is not symbolic fencing. If you are fencing with for the purpose that nobody should enter, then it should be like that nobody should be able to bypass it and enter. So how would you do it? Here lies your imagination. Here lies your creativity. So again I will link it to this thing, that first thing which is required to be developed, which I tried whenever I visited. I said, you first convince yourself, this should be your conviction, that this should be your intent, that I will provide security. I will not compromise. We talk of zero tolerance to corruption, CBO was mentioning. Zero tolerance to security breach is our motto. So first you will have to convince yourself I can do it. But whenever I talk to the security professional on the ground, they say कि सर इतना बड़ा एरिया है, ये संभव ही नहीं है, इतने बड़े एरिया में गिने चुने सिक्योरिटी वाले हैं, how can we do it? Then you have accepted this cannot be done. And when you have yourself accepted, then it will never be done. First thing that you will have to develop this kind of confidence and conviction in you that no, I can do it. Then only you will ask question how. And then you will get answers. Okay, for vast areas, I can have e-surveillance through drones, which can capture, I can sit here, it is roaming around, giving us direct feed. I am watching it on my TV screen, and I am able to see. Now, there are so good cameras in the drones, with such a good resolution that you can have a 24/7 functioning of drone. You can see, you can even identify people. You can capture the registration number of vehicles. So this will not only help in responding to the threat, security breach, but it will also help you to get this digital evidence, which can be produced before any court of law to get conviction and to convince that we have not caught the wrong person. So this technology is a force multiplier for security personnel, that you may use drones for many purposes, for survey, this, that, but this additional function can be performed by e-surveillance through drones, and then that way you can have this thing. Now then, it will not be very harmful to you that if somebody trespasses in some unimportant area by mistake or sometimes deliberately. But it is very critical to you as a security professional that he should not be able to enter the critical areas. And what are those critical areas? They are the mining areas, where the mining is actually taking place. There, absolutely, this should not be tolerated, and those areas typically in that point in time, you can envisage, you can think that they can be barricaded also, fenced also, boundary. In some cases, you will be able to erect boundary walls also. You can put proper barriers, checkposts, and then you can have that kind of access. Then this access control exercised for people through various biometric systems like fingerprint identification, facial recognition, iris scan. So, like he has put some kind of gate management system in the colony, Mr. Vikrant. What identification method are you using in that?
Sir, we are taking a simple photogram of the individual.
Some kind of unrestricted access to people who are already authorized to enter, already living. That is what I am trying to say.
Sir, we have a,
I can't, suppose you are the member of the colony and somebody, so that will for the vehicle, for persons.
for person, the identity card is,
So what I am trying to authorize to enter, you give your biometric fingerprint identification and you are allowed to enter. Sometimes for outsiders, you can have this kind of visitor management system where you can issue them with different kind of visiting passes, even smart cards where you have encrypted the information about the visitor. You can think of allowing him a very restricted access. Like I got entry into the CIL headquarters and I have got entry at the reception desk by saying that this person wants to meet senior reserve security. Somebody called from there, this fellow wants, I said okay, allow him access. He gets a pass and he comes inside. But then he doesn't come and meet me. He goes and meets CVO. Then he goes and meets some 3-4 persons. And then he comes to meet me. After meeting me, he goes back, submits his pass and then goes away. Now this, is it acceptable? It is not acceptable. Our system should be such that a person gets only that limited access which he wants. How would you ensure this? In very high security organizations like IB and RNW and things like that, they have people who will escort and he will take you to that person. He is handed over to that person. Then after the meeting is over, he will again send some either same person or different person who would escort you to the outside gate desk so that you cannot roam around anywhere. Like we used to visit, he knows that you are a very senior, but since you have come to meet only one person, if I want to meet somebody else, suddenly I remember, chalo isse bhi mil lete yahan tak aaye. He will say, no sir, you cannot do that. He will again go, get the same processes done. Why is it required? Because you not only allowing the access to the authorized people, you want full lock to be created. That I had come today, I entered at what time, I left at what time, how much time I spent. And that should be analyzed also. That why did this person, he enters at 10:30 in the morning, leaves at 5:30, what was he doing for so many long hours here? If even he is meeting me only for 6 hours, why it is required? And then you can generate something which will be of interest to the vigilance. So then when he was talking that there is a CBC circular that security issues will not be inquired into by vigilance, but anything which you find that there is a vigilance angle, you can always refer it to vigilance. There is a system which I introduced here just for my purpose, because when I first 3-4 months I had no idea what is happening. Whenever my chief of security will call me, or I will call them, is there everything all right? They will say, sir, everything is all right. Everything is hunky-dory. So I said, I was unnecessarily believed that there are lots of security problems. There is nothing. Everything is so good in CIL. I said, no, something is a mess. So I created a format which they call it MSR, Monthly Security Report. Developed that format to get the input of the incidents which are happening, criminal incidents, and they will report to me. Then I started having some idea. Then I would put my observations. I call it them observations because I am an advisor. I don't call them instructions. But I give them and ask questions, suggest, advise. This should be done like this should be done like that. So there, these kind of things are analyzed. If I get this information, I am supposed to ask questions. And there, why I mentioned this, whenever I feel this, there is a possibility of involvement of insider, I would tell them, please refer this matter to vigilance for inquiry from vigilance angle. So why I do it? Though it is the duty of the management under whom this incident had taken place, but they sometimes may not be able to even know that this may have insider involvement, which I can say because of my experience in working in police. And sometimes they will simply not feel the need. जैसा कि अभी हम लोग कहते हैं ना कि यार किसी बेचारे का बुरा हो जाएगा, परेशानी में फंस जाएगा, कैरियर इम्पैक्ट हो जाएगा, परिवार प्रभावित होगा। हम सब ह्यूमन बीइंग हैं, हमको लगता है ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए, हर आदमी किसी का बुरा नहीं होना चाहिए, बट आवर कंसर्न इज स्लाइटली मिसप्लेस्ड बिकॉज इफ वी हैव ए ड्यूटी टू सी दैट माई फेलो personnel is not harmed, I have a bigger duty to see that the organization interests are not harmed. Still bigger duty that my nation is not harmed. But if I compromise here, it may impact on the organizational interest. It may further impact on my national interest. Who would look into it? So this is to be told, this is to be briefed. That is why we call such kind of seminars for sharing of our thoughts, sharing of our knowledge, sharing of our experiences, sharing of our skills, sharing of our best practices. So this is the purpose of this thing. I give full credit and I am so happy and so grateful that WCL has thought of this kind of thing, and I hope that this will be a continuous process. It will be done every year by the respective subsidiaries. So this particular thing of access control I was talking about, that access control very important. And second thing I was saying that now how to exercise it, another method, that like we are sitting here, there is a surprise team comes randomly and sees the authority letter, and if it finds that everybody who is here is authorized, fine. If somebody is not having authority, then he is taken away and inquiry is done that what brings him or her here, what was the purpose, how could he or she get the entry, who was responsible for this lapse, was it simply a security lapse, was it something more mala fide, there were some designs on this, so this can be done. So this can be done in the field also, that there is a mine area, teams reaches there, checks the authority letters of, maybe in the form of I card, maybe it be in the form of visitor pass, anything, what brings you here. And that way not only include outsiders, even insiders. Like we work in shifts, 3 shifts, security people work in 3 shifts. My shift is first shift, but I am found in the second shift also. Then there has to be an inquiry, what I am doing in the second shift, what interest do I have, and if it is justified, fine. If it is not, off-duty people mostly are indulging in some nefarious activities. People go and misuse their access. जो आउटसाइडर होते हैं वो ऐसे लोगों की मदद लेके ही they try to infiltrate. So this particular thing that no outsider, no authorized person, even persons who are otherwise authorized, you may be having an identity card that you are from WCL. But if you are not supposed to be at the place where you are there, then questions are to be asked, and then we should take remedial measures to prevent that this recurrence doesn't happen in future. So access control is very important, and in a limited period I have tried to tell you that it is possible to do within our available resources. He was talking about the agents. Huge problem, particularly in the subsidiaries in this CCCL, CCL, BCCL and ECL, that people in the name of agent, in the name of, they select the, yes. So, and they are the persons who are actually involved in many unwanted activities. So that access control is very essential. So I was thinking, I mentioned about the importance of access control at the checkpost. Now, this business of checkpost, this is also very important. How many checkposts should be there? Minimum required. Because you will employ resources to man them. And 24/7, most of the time it is required. So you will require manpower. Then what do you have at the checkpost? You have CCTV cameras, enough in number, so that you can capture each and every activity there. Then you have RFID-based boom barriers also. Then you have this app called ANPR, Automatic Number Plate Recognition. Then you have to do the integration also. The problem today is of huge data which is being generated. We are creating data but not using it. This is another aspect of security and to some extent related to vigilance and other departments also, that we are generating data, we are not doing analysis. Without doing proper analysis, data is of no use. You are investing huge amount in creating data, in storing the data. That is another big problem. Like in CCTV, the data, the SOP says that footage should be preserved for 30 days. You imagine the amount of footage of more than 30,000 cameras for 30 days. Fine, you are a cash-rich company, you can afford to create a space also, storage also. But you are not analyzing it. You are not examining the video footage. You are not reconciling the digital data with the physical data. Like, I will give you one example, that there is a DO holder. He gives you a list that today these 10 trucks, they will come to take coal from this thing, and you call it road sale. Okay. Now this list is circulated to the checkpost also. Then this fellow actually examines the documents, whether he is having all the required documents, and then he matches the number with the actual vehicle, whether it is the same vehicle, all those things. Now, another principle of security is the mechanism of check and balance. Nobody, when I say nobody, it means nobody. Nobody should be blindly believed. So there has to be a system of check and balances, that I am aware that if I indulge in something which is not as per rules, regulations, or which is unwanted, there is somebody who will catch it. This should be in my knowledge, and there has to be a mechanism. So here, what is the system of check and balances? One is the supervisory officer, which I say I have divided the security personnel in 3 categories. One is the ground level staff. The second one is the first level supervisors, who are immediate supervisors to the people who are actually doing their job. So these people, they supervise their work. They should be the first to know that whether this person is functioning as per rules, regulation, briefing, task to be performed or not. If not, action to be taken, remedial measures to be put in place, so that such things are not only prevented from happening again there itself, but in the entire area and subsidiary. Secondly, he also sees that whether the systems which have been put, they are being used properly, they are functioning properly. So this is one thing. The other thing which I am giving this example for is that there everything is being captured. Now, if you compromise the security personnel who is deployed or the personnel who are deployed at the check post, pay some money, they allow the same truck to enter twice. He takes one load, unloads it somewhere else, then again comes, takes the load and goes and gives it to the vendor. Okay. Now this, how would you catch? You are saying that list is there, if the trucks will come, but again our boom barrier person would, check post person would not allow it. This is the procedure. But if he is compromised, then how will you check it? How will you know that this fellow has been compromised? So this video footage, if it is not reconciled with the actual physical data which is being generated there, he says there are only 10 trips made, whereas the video footage says there are 11 trips made, and this particular truck tipper entered twice and left twice, loaded, then you can catch it. So this is the importance of examining the footage, examining the data, analyzing the data. I can give you hundreds of examples like this particular thing of NCL. How was it caught? It was caught by the UP STF. They got some information that this is going on. The contractor who was running this TFM, they call it, Total Fuel Management Contract, he owns the petrol in the same vicinity. So now these are the red flags, triggering point. Then you have to be alert that possibility increases. I will give you another example of CIL, just to underscore my point, that how your thinking and your alertness should be triggered, that why I should be alert in this. In this particular case, there was enough indication. This is quite possible that the person who is running the contract owns the petrol pumps also, so he may try to pilfer. Exactly this was happening, and then I will not take long because it takes very long time, so I will say that it was caught. And it was found that 17,000 liters of diesel was unloaded at the petrol pump, and the person who was a driver, who was carrying some money also to be given to people who would accept deficient quantity. Now, there is a system of daily analysis of consumption of fuel by the equipment. Now, what was happening here, that the fuel which is being given, dispensed from the petrol pump for the vehicles, suppose the reader says it is 500 liters. It was not all going to the diesel tank of the vehicle. Part of it was being siphoned back to the tank, and then excess of diesel would be generated. When it will reach a particular quantity, he would be told to offload. Now my question is that when there is a system of daily analysis of consumption fuel, that means every vehicle which was taking diesel from this petrol pump would be consuming more diesel. In very first day, if analysis is being done, this question would be what has happened? You have a system of fixing average consumption for every vehicle. If there is a huge difference between these two quantities, it is a matter of great inquiry, and it would have been caught that something is wrong. Why it did not happen? So this is my the point, that this data analysis to detect anomalies is very, very important, which should be done. Now, from this, the other example which I want to give there, this is from CIL, that the contract for the loading of coal and transportation of coal was given to the same contractor. Again a red flag if you come to know that the same person, there is possibility of this happened here. Now this is a RFID based boom barrier. Another anomaly which was happening there, that when you have RFID tags, they should be affixed on the vehicle. But here this was not being done, they were temporarily RFID tags being issued without permanent tags being issued. So this fellow, what he does, this transporter chap, he gives this tag to some other vehicle. The tag of RFID tag of one vehicle to some other vehicle. RFID reader reads that tag, opens, but there was no integration of ANPR with the this thing. So this was not detected. The security there was compromised. This fellow goes, gets it loaded because the loading people are compromised because they are the same. When it comes back, the shift duty had changed. The other people who had come on the shift, they were not compromised, so they catch us, this is the different truck and this thing, and this is how this entire matter detected. So now when such things happen, we should inquire into the whole thing. We should take appropriate measures apart from fixing the accountability which was being done there, that this doesn't happen again. One of the lesson is that ANPR and the RFID, they should be integrated so that it will not open if the number plate and the RFID they don't match, it will not open. And secondly, we should be more careful when the contractors are same. Thirdly, when the things should be affixed, they should not be. I had gone to BCCL. There also I found that I said, you show me the functioning of this RFID based fuel dispensation system. So one vehicle comes, suddenly this fellow who is dispensing the diesel, he brings a sack, and there were so many RFID tags kept in that sack. He takes out the relevant RFID tag, gives it to the driver, he puts it before the RFID reader, and then the diesel is dispensed. I said, this, when you are having it, you can put it before the reader anytime you want and dispense the diesel to whatever vehicle, whatever container you want. So where then I said, why are you doing it? So he's made all kinds of excuses कि सर वो बहुत ऊपर रहता है, ये होता है, वो होता है. So when why it was happening? That there was nobody to look into it, that this is not allowed. If you have RFID, please get it affixed. This will not be allowed. Then there was a SOP in which I was a member. We said, no, this RFID tag system is not good. We should have this RFID rings inside the mouth of the diesel tank. And there should be RFID reader in the nozzle. So unless the nozzle is inside the tank, it will not read and it will not dispense. So this has started happening. So I am giving example, I am telling you that technology coupled with the people who are manning it, both of them are important and this has to be looked into. So I think I have taken, I am sorry, I forgot the time. I will just finish in within the next 5-10 minutes. That this access control, then various technologies, they require, number one thing, that persons who are manning it, they should be properly trained and they know how to get it done. And second layer, this supervisory level is there to check and ensure that the persons who are on the ground, they are doing the job the way we want it, and they should be continuously supervising, making surprise checks also. They should always visit the scene of incident. This is not optional. Unless you visit, if you ask on telephone, I'm sorry, you will not get the correct information always. So go visit the spot, see for yourself, and then you will realize there will be huge gap between what was being told on phone and what is actually on the ground. So this is this thing, and then there's top level like Chief of Security or GM Security or things like that. They are there to take strategic decisions, to provide resources, to suggest solutions, to see that skill upgradation is constantly done and all the things are done. So this is in a nutshell. I am not repeating what kind of technologies are being used because this will be told in the next lecture of technologies. I wanted to say so many things, but for paucity of time, though I have already encroached upon your lunch time to almost 20 minutes or more, so I would like to close it here. I am very thankful for your patient hearing, and I will be there throughout the 2 days to learn from your interactions. I would advise you to be very interactive, ask questions, and get yourself involved during this period. Regarding security, if you want to ask anything. And last thing I would like to, again, when I said this is a multi-stakeholder job, where there are internal stakeholders, like the prime stakeholder for security is the technical people, because many technologies are being used, and then vigilance, of course, then personnel, of course. So there are internal stakeholders. There are contractors also who are doing internal transportation, or even now this is a concept of MDO. There is outsourcing also. So all those, they are all internal stakeholders. Then there are external stakeholders, the local government, the local police, then you have mining department, all those things. So you will only get good results when there is a good teamwork. So you will have to have coordination, collaboration skills. You should be constantly in touch with them, share your problems, whatever is expected of them, that should be done. So now I am very hesitantly putting the floor open for the questions, because I know you will not ask any questions because you are already very hungry, but still this is my duty. You can ask questions. No questions?
They are eager to meet you over lunch because the questions are
So I knew it. I would like to finish with one shade, because there is a very poetic atmosphere since the morning. सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मेरा मकसद है कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए। रामधारी सिंह दिनकर जी की कविता का हिस्सा है। मेरे सीने में ना सही, तेरे सीने में सही हो कहीं भी आग, लेकिन आग जलनी चाहिए। इस आग को जलाते रहना है हम सबको मिलके, एंड वी मस्ट हैव दिस बिलीव दैट वी can do it. We will achieve it. Thank you very much for giving me this, your patient hearing time of this thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such a fascinating session. Sir, your session full of engaging content and effective delivery has been received very well by our audience.